Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the NHCFAE Podcast, where we highlight leaders, innovators, and trailblazers that are shaping the future of the aerospace industry. My name is Karen Perez, your National Vice President and host for today's session. And today I have the incredible honor to welcome Ms. Meagan Hobson, CEO and founder of Women Rock Wings, a powerful aviation media and leadership platform that is dedicated to elevating women in aviation. Women Rock Wings has become a global voice showcasing women pilots, engineers, air traffic professionals, and aviation leaders, all through storytelling, events, and of course, community building. So if you don't know, now you know. Meagan, welcome and thank you for joining us. To start, can you introduce yourself and share your current role with Women Rock Wings?
Hi, Karen. Thank you so much for having me. It is definitely my privilege to be here. I am Meagan Hobson, CEO and founder of Women Rock Wings. It has been such an amazing experience, to say the least.
Beautiful. Now, what was your vision with Women Rock Wings? What gap did you intend for it to fill?
Wow. So from the beginning, I started flying, I would say, about 2020 at the top of the year. And there were a few women in my program. And right after COVID hit, we could not fly. We were grounded. We couldn't study together. So everything became virtual. And I literally created the page and the shirts just to bridge community and encourage the women mainly in the program and say, hey, keep shining, keep doing your thing. You rock, you're awesome. And I had some leftover t-shirts and I said, let me just give them away. So I took to Instagram and I said, hey, we have these extra shirts. If you share a picture of you flying, we'll send it your way. And it prompted me to create a video of myself just so the women knew where it was coming from because I knew it was fairly new and they didn't know who I was. And from then it just became its own vehicle, its own community. And the gap it chose to fill on its own in a way was to just highlight women, highlight their stories, what they were doing in every facet of aviation.
That's beautiful. Now, how has your role as a pilot, which I think is amazing, by the way, how has that influenced those that you've connected with? I mean, as you know, aviation is a huge collaboration
Yeah,
amongst different professions just to make airplanes
absolutely.
fly.
Yes, absolutely. I think one of the significant aspects of me being a student pilot now and just being in aviation overall is the fact that I was a maintainer first. And I started out
Yes.
maintaining the KC-10 extender in the Air Force. So I did that about for 10 years. So it gave me walking into learning to fly, right, a different appreciation of the fact that, like you said, just to get an aircraft off the ground, it takes way more people than someone outside of aviation would actually think. It's not one, it's not two. Like pilots are amazing, and I have the opportunity to be learning to fly, but you can't fly a broke plane. Right. So, and then like if you mentioned air traffic controllers earlier, and then that plane needs guidance. So there's so many levels, and that's what makes I think exciting is the flying aspect for me is there's the wonder and the joy of it, but there's also because of my background and appreciation of what it takes to even get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what impact have you seen so far with Women Rock Wings?
Oh, wow. That's one of my biggest joys in life right now because no one could have told me wanting to give away some t-shirts would turn into the huge community that it's turned into. We have a bit over 13,000. I think we're heading into 14,000 followers on Instagram. We have done aviation days for students, for girls. We have recently finished our second annual Sky Queen luncheon. We have award categories now. The reach has become so vast that it's outgrown me, which has always been my goal. So that's been the most spectacular thing, honestly.
Yeah, what do you think makes the organization so unique?
The way we do things. The thing is, I like to say aviation is a body, right? And just like our human body, we work together for the whole. However, it has many parts. So you never ask your hands to be an eye or your eye to be a nose. Everything works for the whole. So I would say it's the way we approach the visibility of women in aviation, how we tell stories. That is what makes our approach uniquely ours.
That's beautiful, and I think that
Mm.
captures the essence of what a lot of our organizations want to highlight, the fact that
Yeah.
there's a space for all of us. But I did wanna ask you, what
Yeah.
programs or initiatives has Women Rock Wings created in order to support those in the aviation field?
So one thing I'm exceptionally proud of is our foundation, the With Our Wings Foundation. So we actually changed our name to from Women Rock Wings Foundation to With Our Wings Foundation because there was a little confusion between the media portion of it and the foundation. But through our foundation, through the With Our Wings Foundation, we have done grants, services. One of my favorite programs that the With Our Wings Foundation have is called For Our Military, where we do career events and we bring aviation companies to military installations. And for those who want to transition out of the military or who are reservists or guard members who are still in the military but need full time positions, we connect them with aviation employers. So, and that's all no cost to the military member. That's one of my favorite program. So all in total through the foundation arm of us, we've done, I would say about 25K in grants and services back to the community.
That's amazing. Why
Thank you.
do you think this organization has been impacted?
Because we're transparent, we're honest, we care. And it's a passion, an authentic passion to make more space, to make women more visible, but just overall, the aviation community is so amazing and it's so vast.
Mhm.
And you're impactful when people know that you really care. You just are. And so, from my heart, I think that's been the biggest thing that makes us authentic. It really comes from a place of genuinely wanting to invest in others.
Very good. Now, you mentioned storytelling. Why do you think that's
Yes.
important, and how do you feel that that inspires the future leaders in the aviation industry?
Oh man, I'm deeply rooted in my culture. And I know that seems like some level of a tangent, but storytelling is ingrained in my culture, right? My family is Southern and West Indian, and my grandmother, who is from Orangeburg, South Carolina, some of the best days of my life have been just sitting down at the table with her after she's cooked something and listening to her tell stories of what her life was like when she was growing up. So it's deeply, deeply ingrained in my being, storytelling. And I that's why I think that the media aspect of Women Rock Wings has come so easy because it's a part of who I am intrinsically and the vibrancy. There's so much you learn in a story. Like a story comes from a recipe, right? You're cooking with your mom or you're cooking with your grandmother and you're sharing things and you're building. And it's the same thing with highlighting the women that we've had the opportunity to highlight. Even though it's not cooking, in a way, your life is like a recipe because you took a little bit of endurance and you took some hard times and you took some great times and you mixed it all together and there you have this amazing woman now, right? Doing this beautiful thing that we have the opportunity to highlight.
Now I'm getting hungry with all this talk about food.
We can always get something to eat. We
There you
always
go. I
can.
like the way you think.
Thank you. Listen, we
Now,
can
how
fly
do you
and go get something.
just let me know when?
I'm ready.
Now, how do you think that translates that the
Mhm.
actual part of storytelling and
Yes.
putting all these components together like a recipe, like
Yeah.
cooking, how do you think that translates to the feedback that you've gotten from media, from students, from little kids listening to your stories, from the professionals that maybe have felt seen or acknowledged, from just seeing other people that look like them being showcased on your platform?
Oh, it's always the best. I think for me, one of the most amazing opportunities I've had recently passed at the luncheon was to honor Captain Claudia Zapata Cardon and her saying she had never really felt seen. That to me is something you can't pay for. Or when we were at Essence Fest, we did a booth at Essence Fest in 2024 and we were one of the first, the nonprofit arm of us, one of the first nonprofit organizations in aviation to actually go to Essence Fest. And now, mind you, it is not an aviation event. But if we're talking about exposure, if we're talking about highlighting, if we're talking about expanding, the idea of going there was to introduce, expose, highlight. And Captain Teresa Claiborne, another legend like Captain Zapata Cardone, right, actually was at our booth. And a woman
Wow.
who worked at her company right before she had retired was talking to me and said she didn't get a chance to thank Captain Claiborne and how amazing she was and how much it meant to so many people for her to be seen. And one of the most beautiful moments is when we were able to tell her, well, she's right here. And she was able to thank her in person. And so that's what being seen means. That's where the connection comes is we create the moments and people live through that and they thrive in it. And so you can't pay for something like that. You just can't. You just can't
100%.
do that. Yeah.
100%. Now, I remember when you gave that award at the Woman Rock Wings luncheon. I remember her response was something to the effect of that she tended to shrink herself when
Yeah.
she or feels some sort of embarrassment when she would say her title or talk about what she did. So is that something that you've ever experienced? I know I've definitely could identify myself with those exact words. I think when
Yeah.
I've been in environments within our community, it's almost like you shy away from exposing that part of yourself when it's so
Yeah.
key because if people don't see it, it's
Yeah.
never going to be normalized within our community.
Absolutely. I've definitely been in positions where I did shrink myself. And most of the time when women do it, yes, it does come from a place where a lot of times girls are taught to be, when I was growing up, seen and not heard. That was a very common phrase I heard growing up. Little girls are meant to be seen and not heard. And which was funny
Yeah.
because I came from a house full of women who were always seen and heard. So it was always a juxtaposition because it's like I'm being raised by these amazingly strong, powerful women who do what they want to do, how they want to do it, when they want to do it. But then I'm also being told in the way that I've been created that I need to minimize myself, right? So you have that side of it.
Mhm.
It also comes from a side, I think, me personally, not wanting to be boastful, but how, like you said, how can you be seen if you're not sharing this part of yourself? So it's creating the balance within yourself of the archaic viewpoint of women being seen and not heard and just also trying to be humble, right? I think that's become also a weapon. It's been weaponized, like be humble toward women specifically. Not so because I've been in positions, as some of you know, I'm also, or may not know, I'm also in the military. So, and I've been in the military for 20 years, a little over 20 years now. And I've had to speak up for myself in situations where I'm being reviewed. And I've seen the work that I've done minimized because it definitely looks different on paper. And you know what
Mm.
you've done, you know what you've accomplished, and you should be recognized for it. But when you see someone else minimize it, right? It changes a little bit in you. And so I've read over a
Mhm.
review before and I'm like, and I said to myself, well, this isn't accurate, right? Or they use verbs that aren't as actionable to lower
Mm.
what your performance may have been. And it doesn't feel good. So why would I do that to myself?
Yeah.
So I've stepped into a place now where as long as I'm kind, as long as I'm respectful, I can always be honest about who I am and what I do professionally. And that's how I've come to terms with not shrinking myself.
Very good, and it's so funny that
Yeah.
you mentioned the humble portion of it
Yeah.
because just this morning I saw this media post of Kamala Harris talking about how being humble has been
Yeah.
weaponized
Oh,
against
yeah.
women and how a lot of times people tell her that she's not humble enough. And her response is, why do I need to be humble when why not showcase that I am adamant about my career,
Yeah.
that I am ambitious,
Yeah.
that I do have the ability to shine. Why would I hide that? So I think it's amazing
Exactly.
that you're stepping into that presence as well. I think that
Thank
tends to be
you.
hard in our community,
It is.
especially because it's not something that's normalized, but it's
Yeah.
also I think it also brings to light the need for us in these roles within the aerospace industry to
To do what we're doing,
brush our
honestly,
shoulders
right
over.
now. Yeah. Yeah, brush our shoulders, but
Yeah,
do what we're doing right now. Having these conversations and having our stories shared because like you asked me the question, like the value, the leadership for the future. As we share our stories, it gives paths for girls and behind us and even women right now who are thinking about pivoting, who are struggling with the same thing. It gives them an avenue and it gives them a push and it gives
yeah,
them a connection, a way to say, you know what, it is okay for me to step into who I am fully because you work hard. The end. You've worked
period.
hard to be where you are. You know what I mean? It doesn't, you
Yeah,
don't become a vice president of a national organization without putting in the work. You know what I mean? So she didn't become vice president of an entire country, right? Without putting in the work. And so we have to understand that when people see us, it gives them the ability to think about themselves in that way as well. And I say that because I had the privilege of watching my grandmother get her bachelor's, her master's, and her doctorate all in her 60s. And for me,
wow,
I know for me, that's always been a standard and not talking about you may not want to get your bachelor's or you may not want to get your master's or your doctorate, right? I have up to my master's. I don't have my doctorate. But it wasn't about the degrees itself. It was about her endurance. It was about the choice to do what she wanted to do, and coming from the deep South and not finishing college at a young age, only finishing high school. And then she went into family caretaking because she got married and had, quite a bit of children with my granddad. And she didn't have that opportunity, but it was something that she always wanted to do. And when she felt that it was time for it, she did it. And I was privileged to be able to see that. And it's something that's very deeply rooted in me. And it provides me that place for perseverance. I know exactly what perseverance looks like, excuse me, because of her. And I know what setting goals look like because I remember going to school with my mom. So seeing really is important. That is why I've been able to the things I've accomplished in my life is because of them. My mother and my grandmother are truly out of everybody I've met in my life and all the experiences I've had and every place I go, that is my grounding. That is my foundation. They are.
wow. Well, kudos
Yeah.
to your grandmother for being able to go through an education process and get some degrees while balancing family. I'm sure that was quite the endurance test for her.
Oh, she's
So, how is it that you, as a wife and mother, how do you
mhm.
balance your personal and your professional life there?
Oh man, that's always it's always a festive question, I say, because moms, just being a mom from the top, right? That's my best job. That's my biggest job every day. And I love my son so much. And I became a mom like closer to being 40. And so in my late 30s. And so I was used to just taking kind of care of myself. And my husband and I, we got married and we had our son pretty quickly. And I've always been someone who has wanted a career. I've always been someone who took care of themselves and I was doing it for a long time. So I would say, and this may be TMI, but a lot of women may not say it, that it was a struggle getting in the rhythm of being a mom because I was used to being career oriented. So I had to
Mhm.
kind of switch gears and now include this portion of myself, which was a whole new world. And the greatest job I have now, right, being a mom, because I've kind of created some level of rhythm, I would say, with a few years under my belt. But it's okay to also still want my career. And like there is a level of guilt because you have this whole human being who's solely like they rely on you completely. And it is difficult to want a career and have this human being that relies on you solely and completely, but you find the balance in knowing that you can love both. And I think that's what's happened for me is knowing I can love both. I wasn't created to be one thing, one person in one box. I have many gifts and I get to bring my baby along with the gifts. And the same thing, for my husband, he has his career, he loves what he loves, but I'm still outside of being a wife and a mother. I'm still Megan. And it's so important for women to know that they can do those things. So if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, be a stay-at-home mom. Because one, it's a hard job. It's very hard. It is a job. Everything that a stay-at-home mom does, if she did not do, someone would be paid to do. So it's a job. But if you want to be a mom, a wife, and someone with a career, you can. And that's to me what femininity is, like choosing your power. So how I balance, back to your original question, how I balance it is knowing that I can love these things, that I've been blessed to love these things, and that's okay, and just do them well. That's it.
Wow, fantastic. No, I
I,
love that you have embraced, because we're all multifaceted, multidimensional
yeah.
beings. We,
Yeah.
uh, have different identities in different rooms, and sometimes we shy away from being all of that at once when we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
And I love that you acknowledge that we can be a wife, a mother, a professional, a caregiver, all of the
Yeah.
above, and that just showcases the spectrum and the breadth
Yeah.
of what it is to be a woman and what we
Yeah.
bring to the table, how we can build a table too and put some
Oh, yeah.
food on there as well.
Listen, hello, all of it. Because I'm very
Yes,
traditional,
and I
to be honest.
absolutely. I think that being able to have those conversations
Yeah.
and showcase the fact that we are multifaceted can kind of
Exactly.
normalize the struggles that we tend to have and bring to light that there is support,
Yeah.
that we do have the flexibility when we seek it, if we
Yeah.
demand it as well sometimes.
Yeah.
And seeing it in other women kind of empowers those that are kind of struggling with it as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And I think you also said something a bit earlier when you were talking about your, oh, I think I kind of lost my train of thought there. When you were talking about your grandmother, I think.
Yeah.
When you were talking about your grandmother, and I was kind of trying to reach over to find a pen, and I didn't want to.
It's okay.
But now I got a pen. Now I can write. When you were talking about your grandmother and you seeing her perform all these roles, I really do think that we are that for everyone around us
Yeah.
in our everyday environment, whether that's at home, with family, in our professions, in our inner circle, or in our
Yeah.
art, in our outer circle. We serve as mirrors for
Oh, yeah.
those around us, where they see our capacity, we see their capacity, and that's kind of
Exactly.
we feed off each other in that way. And it's amazing how community can impact our greatness because it exemplifies it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we need community. Even in talking about caregiving a bit, like you referred back to my grandmother, and we'll plug it back to aviation. One of the biggest things that came from just growing up with the family that I grew up in was community. And, I had aunts and uncles and cousins, even though I'm an only child, and my grandmother. And like you said, you can see the different, like different aspects, like even my cousins now, as we're all adults, the different career fields we're in, and being able to call somebody for help, and that's what
Yeah.
it's like in this community as well in aviation. We forget sometime, I think, that we're a community and that one hand really does wash the other. And,
Mhm.
we don't have to get heavy into what's happening in the community right now, but we can see it on the news and we see it's affecting travel in a larger scale, right? Around the country, around the world. So we are a community. We do affect one another. And that's something that's so important when we come back to organizations like yours or companies like ours. How are we working together? How are we building community? And that is how the industry overall will thrive. It is through the communities that we build that will ensure overall over time that we are educating people, that people do have careers. And it's always because they're qualified, nothing more, nothing less, right? But it's through the communities. That's how you build trust. That's how you build relationships through community. So it's been a long road here. Women Rock Wings has been around now for 5 going on 6 years, but there's so many more stories to tell in so many different ways, and that's what I'm looking forward
Mhm.
to in the future, and that is gonna take community to do it.
Beautiful, yes.
Mm.
Now, we advocate for
Mm,
and know that representation plays a huge role
yeah.
in the aerospace industry. Why do you think
Mhm.
visibility is so important for women entering this field?
The only reason I started in aviation was because of the Air Force. I had never seen, never thought about doing absolutely anything in aviation. Wasn't in my purview. And then it wasn't until I was in the military, and not even as a maintainer, but as a chaplain, that I met pilots that looked like me. And that is honestly how I started flying, was because I met a pilot that looked like me, and they asked me, and he became a mentor, had I ever thought about flying? And I said, "No, why would I think about that?" And he's like, "Why not try it?" And I did and fell in love. That's the power of representation. There's an intrinsic trust, and it's not that you don't see other people and get inspired by them if they're not necessarily from your community. You can. However, there's a level of natural trust when you come from the same kind of community that can't be bought or built. It's just a part of you.
Yes.
And when you talk about communities that have been systematically and just distanced from certain careers, it's not really a thought. And if it is a thought, it's foreign and it's odd. So it's not saying, "Oh, I've never seen a black NASCAR driver," and you're a child and you're like, "But love cars and I wanna do this," but you've never seen anybody like you. It's a foreign thought. Not that you can't do it, but it's foreign.
Yes.
So having someone represent you, and especially when you come from cultures of color, it's always you're representing more than yourself. It's
Yeah.
100% something that's very owned by cultures of color. It's never just you. It's your neighborhood, it's your block,
Yeah.
right? It's your people, because they have been distanced from a lot of places, even though we've created a lot of
Yeah.
technology that these places live in.
Mhm.
To see someone that looks like you represents more than seeing them in that moment, because there's that natural understanding. Because in your mind, you
Mhm.
see their struggle, you know where they came from, you know what it's like where they came from, because you come from the same type of place. So when I go
Yeah.
somewhere and I say I'm from East New York, Brooklyn, someone from East New York, Brooklyn, someone from Baltimore, Maryland, that understands the type of neighborhood I came from can say,
Mhm.
"She came from there, it's possible." And it goes from a foreign thought to a very real and present, actionable, achievable thing. And so that is what representation truly shows us. And a lot of times have now said, "Oh, it's just a saying, it's just a saying." No, it is so important because of what we just said. It embodies an experience and a connection
Yeah.
that can't be put into words. That's what representation is. And it is also a responsibility. And we have moved from the matter of representation matter to representation is also stewardship. We have to steward it well for the people that come behind us, because it is our responsibility. So that is what representation truly is. It's an embodiment of experiences, challenges, triumphs that connect in a moment for someone.
You
Okay.
mentioned the idea of seeing someone that looks like you shortens that
Yeah.
distance
Yes.
between where you come from and that career or that
Yeah,
role. And I really do believe that that person or you and myself, we
that's
are a
right.
lot of times those bridges between
Yeah,
those people that look like us and
exactly.
what possibilities hold for them in the future. And that's
Absolutely.
so amazing. I mean, it's a lot to carry if you think about it, but
Oh, yeah.
again, we are representing more than just ourselves and our families.
Oh,
We
absolutely.
represent an entire
Our people.
community, and we may be
Absolutely.
the only representation some Joe Schmo
Yeah,
has of people that look like us. So
absolutely.
there's a lot to carry.
Oh, yeah. It's a big responsibility, and it used to like, initially, of course, we're all like, "Oh my gosh, that's a heavy weight," but heavy is and Monica Newman McClooney, right, referenced this at the Sky Queen luncheon, "Heavy is the head," right? And a
Yeah.
scripture, but a lot of people say it as just a regular statement that I love, "To whom much is given, much is required," but it's actually to whom much is given, even more is required. And so there's 2 sides of every coin. A lot comes with what we do, right? It is a privilege to be a leader, but it is also a responsibility to be a leader. And you can't only have the good without the responsibility, the privileges without the responsibility, I should say. Right? It is it is a weight, but it's honestly not a weight that has to weigh you down. It is a weight that can be honestly a light because how beautiful is it to have people look at you and say, "Wow, I can do it too. Wow, that can be me one day. Wow, it's not impossible." I remember the first time as an airman, I saw a Black female chaplain, and I was in awe because I couldn't believe it. I was like, "Oh my gosh, she's real. This is awesome." Because it was a thought I had. I'm like, "I've never seen one before, so what is that role going to look like?" And then she became a mentor, and when I became a chaplain, she actually pinned my cross on me. And so think about that, right? If it's, "Oh my god, this is so heavy. I have to drive and now pin this cross on it," versus, "Oh my gosh, I get to be a part of this moment with this person forever for the rest of their lives because I will never forget it. And I
Wow.
get to do that now for someone else." So, yes, it can be heavy, but I think it's more heavy when it comes outside of the community. But it's never heavy
Mm,
when I see someone from our communities see me and ask me questions that I get to answer to help them get to the next step. That's beautiful. That's joy. And it's a privilege that I will never take for granted.
indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
Now, for those that don't know, can you tell us a little bit about what being a chaplain is and how your spiritual journey has been tied into the big picture of Women Rock Wings?
Wow. I think the fruit of Women Rock Wings can definitely tell you that's my heart. Being a chaplain has been one of the absolute most beautiful aspects of my life and my military career as well. And what is a chaplain? We are the personnel, well, at least in the Air Force, that provides spiritual care and we protect the religious freedom of all of our airmen. We also provide guidance for leadership and under moral matters. So that's pretty much my role in a summation. And it is not only what I do, it's who I am. We have 100% confidentiality, which we are the only people, us and religious affairs airmen, we're the only people in the entire military that have 100% confidentiality, which means you can come to us, tell us anything, and it stays in our office. So, how has that factored into Women Rock Wings? Because my faith is a part of who I am, it's a part of just is naturally at the basis of everything I do. No matter what I touch, you will always see giving, you will always see love, you will always see sharing, you will always see lifting. And I think that's how my faith has played out in anything that I do.
That is incredibly beautiful, and
Thank you.
I mean, I think anyone that meets you sees those key parts of you. I think um, you overpour that,
I thank
from
you.
your cup, And
Thank
I
you.
think that's beautiful that people get to experience that, even just meeting you. So
Oh, thank you.
I love to hear all about it.
Thank
So what
you.
advice would you give to those that are interested in
Mhm.
aviation careers, especially those coming from communities like ours, underserved communities?
I would say, well, this is gonna age me a little bit because I'm older than Google, but Google is your friend. We didn't have Google. We had the Dewey Decimal System in library when I was growing up. But now
I
I
know.
feel the internet. Yeah, you understand. The internet is a powerful tool. If you want anything, it's going to take work. Step one, I would say, do it, go for it. But I'm also a planner. So my natural and shorter sound bites, I'm always like, do it, go for it, right? But what does doing it and go for it look like? It looks like finding information, right? Finding people, finding programs. And if you don't know anybody, say you're somebody that you don't have an aviation school near you, you don't know anybody at all, I would say start with the internet. Start with Instagram. That's how people find us on the page, which is why social media is so powerful. Find someone that flies, Google schools, Google people that may be near you. I think that would be a good basis. And once you find a program, create a plan. How are you going to do this thing? Who do you need to get in contact with? What organizations do what you need? Are there any local chapters for these organizations near you? Call them, email them, be persistent, be serious about your dream. If you're serious about your dream, then you're going to plan and you're going to put it into action. It's not just say I want to do it. It's I want to do it and this is how I'm going to do it. So I wanted to, for instance, go into the Air Force. There were no Air Force recruiters in my neighborhood. They only had Army, Marine, mainly, right? What did I do? I went online and I found an Air Force recruiter in a different neighborhood and I traveled to the other side of Brooklyn because that's what I wanted to do. And so if you want to get into aviation, research. That's let's start step one is research it. What's your plan? What's your goal? Connect with other people, connect with communities that are going to help you reach your goal. And then also, I give back while you're doing it. You can always volunteer because honestly, that's another way to network too. It's another way to reach your goal, but it's also helpful and kind and it's a vehicle for more. That would be my best advice right now. If you're starting, I'm talking about from nothing.
What does the future of Women Rock Wings look like for you?
Ooh, that's a good question. There's so many dreams in this big head of mine. It is wonderful, wonderful. It looks like we are the largest aviation media publication geared towards women. It is, we have awarded and lifted women like never before. It is, we have grown the With Our Wings Foundation to create direct path lines for women and military members for whatever careers they want in aviation. It is, we have created and we're about to actually start the SkyPrincess Academy where we will be doing informationals just to expose young girls to aviation. It is joy and connection for the entire aviation community. And we're gonna have some fun too.
I'm here for it.
Me too.
Megan, CEO of
Oh,
Women Rock Wings, 20, 30, 40 years from now,
yeah.
what legacy have you built?
Oh man. Well, my goal is to not be the CEO and somebody else is running and they get to carry the torch on. That's one of them. That's legacy, is making space for other people. To me, that's what legacy is. To leave a legacy, no matter what I build in Women Rock Wings, my goal is for it to absolutely outlive me and somebody else gets the joy of what I'm doing. But honestly, that I supported people, that I've lifted people, that I've loved people, and that I've spread some joy. To me, that's the best kind of legacy anybody can leave. That people smile when they think about me.
Well, I know I already smile just at the thought of you,
Thank
and
you.
your personality, your heart, expands further than the room that you're standing in. So I
Thank
think
you.
you carry that well,
Thank you.
and I think the impact that you have is just incredible without you even going into a conversation about aviation. So think about the
Thank you.
impact that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That means a lot. Thank you.
So, Megan, thank you so much for coming here today, sharing your journey and the incredible work that Women Rock Wings is doing to elevate and elevate and empower women in aviation. It is more than clear that your leadership and advocacy are the very things that are helping shape a more inclusive and inspiring future for our industries. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for spending your Saturday here with us.
Thank you.
And for our listeners, if you enjoyed today's conversation, well, let me go back before I end. Any last words, Megan?
I think we've covered it, but if I could say anything is do more. For women that are out there, do more of what's inside of you.
I love
That's
that.
it.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Megan.
Thank you.
For our listeners, if you enjoyed today's conversation and want to connect with professionals who share this passion for aviation and leadership, please consider joining the NHCFAE. Membership gives you access to mentorship opportunities, scholarships, and of course, events that support every stage of your career. So please visit www.nhcfae.org to learn more or follow us on Instagram using the handle at NHCFAE. Thank you again for listening, and stay tuned for more stories about aviation leaders that are making an impact not only across our skies, but in our communities as well. So see you next time.